first enter the station, you see the newsroom. This is where everyone sits together and does their computer work. Now, that right there was Loudon, one of our producers, and here's our newest producer, Macy. She started just a couple of days ago. We're all right under that AVC8 logo, reminding us, why we're all there. And here we have our photographer. His name is Michael. He goes out and he gets video footage that we need to put into the shows. Now, right over here, you see the news director's office. She calls all the shots. Now, before we get to the studio, we have our morning anchor, Andrew Ward, taking the walk out of the newsroom into the studio. Now, that blue light above him, it indicates that nothing is being filmed. It turns red when a show is actively being broadcast, when our talent is in the studio going live. It signals to us to be careful going in and out of that door because we're live. Now, here is the studio that you all see when you watch the news. Now, I'm just kind of panning the camera here to give you an idea of what it looks like from left to right and all the different components, because there's a lot that goes on in the studio. We have different types of monitors with different names. You see the vertical one there. And now you see the video wall, which is one of our biggest screens. And then you're also seeing here the screen that is directly behind the anchors when they sit at that anchor desk right there. Now, moving over to the right, we have the Weather Center, and this is our morning meteorologist, Dominic Ferraro, saying hello. He monitors what's happening in the skies right there at that desk. Now, you're going to get a view of what the anchors look at when they're reporting the news. Now, this side in front of the anchor desk are a bunch of teleprompters. That way, when they're reading off the scripts about the news, we can all stay accurate and see our scripts there. We could also get a good look at what we look like as we're live on the air speaking to all of you. All right, now let's take a closer look at some of the monitors. So we have here the VBAM. It stands for vertical monitor, and we use it very strategically to report on things that fit best over there. Like in this scene, I wanted to bring attention to a box of signatures, which you see on the monitor that was at my story site, but then also reference the box I was holding in my hand just to make it come to life. Now, the next thing we do is we use this to highlight a title. Call for change is the main subject of that story. So we put it right there behind the reporter, and then I explain what the story is about under that specific subject. Now, another way that the VBAM is used is when anchors want to toss over to the reporter in the field. I was at Memorial Stadium, and then you see it cuts over to me in the field. Now, although you don't see my face here in the VBAM, our anchor Rod is describing the scene that I'm at. So what you're seeing is that environment. It was the rail yard on game day, and then shortly after you see me pop up. Now, more ways that the VBAM is used is when the footage itself is most ideally shown in a vertical manner. So with this story here, you're actually looking at my pantry at home because my story was all about groceries, pantry items, and backward shopping. So we thought it would be best to show that in the VBAM so it could remain vertical. Also, here's another example of the reporter talking about that subject, which you see very clearly in the VBAM. Now, moving on to the biggest monitor, which is the vid wall, the video wall. It's called this because it has the opportunity to show the most videos. There's 4 screens there. Unlike you can see in this story I recently covered about the Omaha man who was arrested for making threats against the White House, I wanted to showcase here that my story was all about the man that was arrested and his plot that got intercepted, and then also highlight the person that I interviewed that day, who is in the bottom left corner, Dr. Aaron Carnes, who studies terrorism and threat attacks. Now, I put the 2 of their pictures there, and then we also put in pictures of the University of Omaha, because that is where Dr. Carnes does her work. Another way we use the vid wall is by showcasing more than one element of the story. This story here was all about organ donations, and I was talking about how scientists are modifying animal organs so that they can be used in humans. All right, now this is a last look at the studio before we go off into a room that is off to the right of the studio called the control room. Now, it's a lot going on here. As you can see, there are a bunch of monitors that are viewing everything going on in the studio, but also things that are airing on TV on the ABC network. Now, you have a bunch of headsets here that the producer and directors wear, such as Evan. He is our morning director. He says hello. And here is Cynthia. She's also a morning producer. So they're putting on those headsets so they can communicate with the talent, such like Andrew Ward, in the studio, and kind of direct him as the show goes on. What's to come, what's next, and how everything is going. Everything is looking good. And that's not the only thing that happens in that room. One time I even filmed a stand up for my story using one of the screens in the control room, which you can see right here. Now, here is a different room. This is behind the control room, and it's called Master Control. See a bunch of wires there. Now, in Master Control, they are mostly monitoring the ABC network specifically. Now, the other shows that are on TV, or the ones that air before our newscast and after, and also the commercials. Here you see Brian. Brian is in Master Control in the mornings, making sure that everything on the Channel 8 network, the ABC network, is running smoothly. Now, I had to show you all this room right here. This is our equipment room. It's a very important place because it stores all of our extra equipment, and it's where we go to get our equipment fixed if something happens to it and it breaks. Now, Ethan is the person in charge of fixing equipment. He didn't want to be pictured, but this is where he stays with all of the things we need to make sure the shows go on smoothly. Now, why is this so important? You're going to see right here. Here I am getting ready to go out for the day into the field to work on my story, and whoops, there goes my tripod. So things like that happen all the time. Now, I reshot this scene here to show you what it's like when I say goodbye to the station for the moment so I can go in the field, take care of my interviews, get my footage before working on the story. And I load my car, all that gear that you saw, it's about 35 pounds. And then I load it all up, I get in the car, and I'm off. But here I am now. Once I got back to the station, I am going into the sound booth to record my script. Now, I go in there. As you see, the walls are padded, so there's no background sound. And then I set myself up to read off my script into the microphone. And how I do that, I just have my script on my phone. Okay, now the night crew is here. This is Dominic, one of our evening producers, and you all know Rod Fowler, just the best news dad that you can find. And they're working on the show. And there's Jake Holman, our sports reporter. Now, I wanted to include the final product after I edited together the footage and the interview and the voice track. Here is the final product.
Right now, tacos on the go, how one restaurant owner is pushing past obstacles to get his food across Lincoln. With the O Street project going full steam ahead, things are a bit harder to get to access. So one business owner is creating options to bring his food closer to you. Birria Boss is the place. And Channel 8's Danielle De Silva visited them to see how they are expanding. And she joins us live now. Danielle, what can you tell us?
I'm so sorry, Rod. They're so tasty. These treats right here, they're becoming more accessible across the Lincoln because the Birria boss himself, right here behind me, Jordan Jackson, he tells me that he just purchased a food trailer so that the patrons who get a little distracted by the barriers around here will still get fed.
Sales have been consistently lower, unfortunately. And we're not necessarily like profiting a ton, I guess. You know what I'm saying? So we're losing some of our profits for sure. I just figured getting that food truck and doing all that will help mitigate the losses essentially. And then also at the same time help us build and grow.
Jordan Jackson started Birria Boss in 2019, right from his home kitchen, making sales through word of mouth, then opened this O Street location in 2023, where he whips up fan favorites.
But the top sellers would probably be the tacos, the wings, and maybe our quesadilla. My favorites would be the tacos, the wings, or the gorilla cheese sandwich, which is top tier.
Rapidly picking up a reputation for delicious food.
I cannot say enough good things about the food.
But when construction took over, affecting the amount of patrons visiting the restaurant, he said sales dropped by 30%. That's when he decided to purchase a food trailer and expand, growing his business, but also his connection to the community.
I love Lincoln, to be honest. We'll probably end up buying a house here, turning, losses into lessons, essentially.
Jackson says the buzz of the truck is already helping attract new people. That and the deals he offers to the city as well, giving discounts to first responders, teachers, students, and giving them out on holidays too.
What brings you in today?
Juneteenth. I wanted to pour into my community, had to be intentional of coming here, and so we knew that we would probably have to park a couple blocks away, but it's really important to me to support local businesses, and especially during times of construction like now.
Birria Boss on O Street will remain open under normal hours, but Jackson says once the location for the trailer is solidified, he'll post it on his Facebook. And if you'd like to suggest locations that you'd like to see the trailer at, we'll make sure to have a link to his Facebook at klkntv.com. Reporting live from O Street, Danielle De Silva, Channel 8 News.